welcome everyone. I don't know that introductions are necessary. I think we're good to go with those. And so, Janice and Scott, will you certify quorum?
Yes, ma'am. Town of Ashland, Mr. Hodges. Charles City County, Mr. Atkins. Chesterfield County, Mr. Holland. Goochland County, Mr. Lyle.
Present.
Hanover County, Mr. Davis.
Present.
Henrico County, Vice Chair Rokish.
Present.
New Kent County, Mr. Moyer.
Here.
Powhatan County, Mr. Kinney. And City of Richmond, Chair Newbill.
Here,
We do have a quorum.
thank you. Members, if we could take a look at the agenda for the upcoming policy board meeting, and that should be in the second package to ascertain whether or not you'd like to have any amendments.
Move for approval, ma'am?
Thank you, might I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Yes.
So that's if you wouldn't mind speaking up, so.
Speak up, you said sit. I'm sorry, I was using my inside voice. Okay,
I know you
I can
have
do
it.
that.
I know you
Okay.
have it in you.
Yes, apologize for that. So at this point, we will look at the September 5th minutes. And if you would review those so that we might take action.
Chair Newbill, I'll make a motion to approve the September 5th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. Might I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. At this time, we'll review the selected RRTPO agenda topics. Mr. Dixon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to go over briefly the action items that we have for you today on the agenda. The first thing I did want to highlight is there's a consent agenda on today's policy board agenda. So this is something that we've done historically at the TPO. We stopped using consent agendas when we had the new board members all coming on back in January to make sure that we were covering every item in depth. But given the volume of what we have on the agenda for today, as well as the fact that we've gone through almost a year of walking through all the TIP amendments, we felt that it was appropriate to bring back the consent agenda. So basically on the consent agenda, we have our quarterly work status report. This is basically our summary of what we've accomplished with the work program over the first 3 months of the program for this fiscal year. And it's basically the board's opportunity to review, see what we've been working on, and if we need to focus on something different, this is just a chance to review that and look at those pieces. This is also the foundation for our billing for reimbursement back to VDOT and DRPT. The second item on here is the meeting minutes. So that's the summary from the last meeting. With the meeting minutes, it's just a motion to accept the summary of that and put that into the record. So that's part of the consent agenda. And then the third piece is a set of TIP amendments. So there are several in here. I think it's 4 different sets of TIP amendments in there. These are all items where the board has already approved the project. It's already in the TIP. So the action that's being taken is to update the schedule, the estimate, or to reflect the latest funding that's been awarded. So we're not reviewing the project as a whole. We're just updating the financials and the project schedule. And so it's really a financial housekeeping. So we put that under the consent agenda, which has been our practice historically. And then under the new business is where we put the other TIP amendments, which are the other half, which are new projects that we're proposing. So these are projects that weren't planned. They now have funding. We want to move them forward. And so those are the other ones that are on the agenda. There are 3 different sets of TIP amendments under that. The first is GRTC. There are 3 projects for GRTC. All of them already have funding. So GRTC is just asking for the ability to put it into this TIP and the STIP and authorize those funds so they can get started. I did want to highlight one of the projects in there is a park and ride lot. I think it's the 3rd one in there. And this is actually the terminus for the Western Pulse extension. So this is actually helping us to do the planning and gear up for extending the Pulse further into Henrico County, which is exciting. The other two projects are very similar. So there's the I-64 Gayton Road interchange and short pump area improvements in Henrico. And there's also the exit 211 in New Kent. And these projects are both being proposed to be added right now so that we can wrap up the federal studies that have been completed. So there's an interchange access report that's been done for each of them. So that's the study of if we're making a change to this interchange or adding a new interchange, is that viable? Does it continue to maintain traffic flow? Does it continue to promote safety, make the area better? So that's what those amendments would do, would be to add those projects. The other thing on there is there's no federal money that's being requested. This is just looking at existing non-federal funding sources that have already been committed to those projects. And then the fourth item that we have on your agenda today is the regional funding framework revisions. So the regional funding framework is our guideline document that lays out how we select projects for the money that this board controls. So the Regional Surface Transportation Program, Congestion Mitigation, Air Quality, Carbon Reduction Program. Currently, we have applications every year. And one of the things that we've been undertaking as part of the work program is a review of the overall program. The TAC has come to a consensus that it would be better if we moved to every other year for new project applications, so that we could build up a little bit more money, be able to fund larger project requests. The average reward right now is about $1.9 million, so it doesn't really do much in the scale of regional transportation projects. But the other piece of that is really lining up with the other regional funding programs. So the CVTA is also moving to every other year. The Transportation Alternatives Program, which this board also has a say in, is every other year. So it basically put all of the regional programs on one year and then Smart Scale on the other year. So it's basically lining up that we could maximize our leverage, coordinate as a region across all the funding sources that we control, and then position our projects to perform as best as they can in the statewide competition. So that's the intent behind that. I'm happy to answer any questions on any of these items.
Are there any questions?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
And apologies, I'm looking for guidance here. This may be a sidebar conversation, but on the already approved, I'm on page 32 of the GRTC, they're paralegal. It's UPC GRTC 008 on the paratransit. Goochland has limited GRTC presence, as we all know, but we still have a need for people to get to McGuire VA Hospital, and I'm not sure if that can be amplified as to whether this money could have any application to Goochland.
Sure.
And so that may, I want to be very sensitive to our agenda. Is that something you and I could talk about afterwards? Just,
Sure, we
it's
can
an
talk about
education
that.
moment.
I think the other piece is the TPO, and it's reflected in the work program, is undertaking a study of public transportation options in the rural counties. So it's Powhatan up through Hanover, all the way over to Charles City. So kind of that arc of the 5 rural counties. So we're looking at opportunities right now, whether it's more of that paratransit model, whether it's a demand response microtransit, but basically trying to see where GRTC stops, what can we do to make sure that there's still service and some sort of opportunities in the rest of the region. So that is something that's actually underway right now, and I'm happy to give you more updates on that.
So the 19 million may or may not have Goochland applications. And that's really what I want to be able to go back to my colleagues on the board and say, this is there, but not this time.
Sure. So my understanding on that is that provides service adjacent to the fixed route service. So in as much, I think West Creek has a little bit of fixed route service now. So in that vicinity, right. But I don't think it goes beyond that with what GRTC is providing. And that's sort of, as I mentioned, where the other study's trying to pick up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm learning still.
Okay, so there'll be a follow-up discussion?
If staff will accommodate me, yes. Thank you for that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
one question. On the regional funding going to every other year, I guess I have 2 questions. What are other regional bodies? Are they doing the same thing around the Commonwealth?
So 2 of our other large peer MPOs are on every other year currently. I think the other big rationale on why we thought it made sense is we actually reserve 10% of the funding in the first 3 years for cost increases and cost overruns on existing projects. So we're not really selecting any new projects until year 3 anyway of the funding program. So whether we do it 1 year or we do it the next year, it's still, the funding's only available when it's available. So it doesn't actually impact the availability of funds for the projects. They'd still be on the same schedule.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Bushy.
Not from me.
Okay,
No, thank you.
okay. Then we will make note that our next meeting will be December 5th. And this meeting will stand adjourned.
Efficiency.